Hi guys, it's great to see you again. Today I'm going to talk to you about printing your images. This one is fresh out of the oven, that's why it's still wrapped in plastic. I plan to open it today and hang it in my bedroom. And in case you don't know me, if this is your first video, my name is Simo. I'm a photographer and beginner videographer. I started creating these YouTube videos where I talk more about photography, about traveling in Estonia, about nature and so on. So if that's something you like, hit the subscribe. Today I'm going to talk to you more about printing your images, whether you should do it, what you should keep in mind, and what materials should you use, and also give you a light overview of the images that I have printed and that actually have been displayed in public areas as well. To get things started, maybe we should first of all discuss if you should actually print your images. And to that, I just say yes. Of course, you have to be careful how many images you will print because, space usually is limited. For example, if you live in a rented apartment such as myself, you can't really drill any holes in the walls, even if you do have a lot of open wall space. So I especially have to keep in mind that I can't print too many images for myself. I only have a few. The others I have given away as presents. I've managed to sell a few images as well. And some I have kept in my storage, which is basically under my bed. It has been extremely cool to see my images printed out, but even if you don't have a lot of space, then printing out just maybe one or two images that you're especially fond of is definitely worth it, and I definitely advise you to do so. Of course, if you have a lot of great images and your friends and family don't mind, then giving them away during holidays, birthdays and so on, at least in my opinion, is quite a nice gesture as well. For one thing, you're actually giving people something that you are especially proud of, and you have created with your own hands or your own vision. It's not just another object from the store. So that's a great reason why to give something to other people, plus your images are probably beautiful as well. Now, coming to the second question on which materials should you choose for your prints, then I personally have used two options. The first being printing it on paper and then just framing it later on. Of course, in this case, I have just kept the white frame on the image itself, although it would look a lot nicer to have a special white frame that looks like this, and with a frame and image inside. It looks a little something like this. So this is a great option to make your piece stand out even more, and maybe to make it look like it's part of an art collection or a museum piece. The second option, which I have to admit is a personal preference of mine, is printing your image on canvas. Now, the great thing about canvases is you don't have to look for a frame, and basically when you get your image back from the print shop, you can just send it or gift it or hang it up on the wall almost immediately, so you don't have to do any extra steps. And I also think that it looks nice and clean with just the runoff here, and of course it doesn't fit to every interior design, but for me, it's probably the best solution. And one great thing about canvases is that if you're working a lot with lights, or if you need something as a backdrop, then the canvas print won't reflect the light, which means that if you have a lot of light and maybe you want to admire something in the daylight as well, then this will be seen a lot better than, for example, a printed image, which is in a frame. Of course, there are special glasses that help diffuse the reflection, but they cost a lot more, so you have to take that into account as well. I just want to address one more thing with images printed on paper and then later framed in a picture frame. And the issue is that the picture frames that are on the market, at least here in Estonia, differ extremely in quality. And unfortunately, I haven't found any really great frames. I've tried out quite a few. I've tried to look at from cheaper end stores. Of course, they don't work. I mean, they look fine from afar, but once you get closer, you can see the shabby quality and also that the glass is actually plastic and not real glass. So these images and these frames I have kept mainly for myself. There are, of course, other frames as well. They have real glass, but again, they're quite cheap. Even if they aren't cheap, they look cheap. I haven't found actually one place in Estonia that has frames that are quite decent quality, and this is actually the same frame right here. It should be pretty much real wood. The glass is okay, and the back end looks quite nice. So this is pretty much the only frame that I have seen where the quality has been up to par. And although finding proper frames for your images may seem a bit more difficult, and it certainly is unless you actually have found a place that really works for you, printing on paper is great for two reasons. First of all, you can see your image in real life. You can see how it works, if there are any defects, and just get the feel of the image without spending too much money. So if I print a canvas, let's say 30 by 45 centimeters, I would have to pay roughly 16 to 20 euros to print that image. Whereas if I print this image on paper, I would have to pay roughly 4 euros. Probably I could get even cheaper if I had a printer myself. However, I print everything from a special print shop where I get a decent quality and I don't have to worry about all the printer settings and paying I don't know how many thousands of euros for a proper printer. So definitely that's one of the perks of printing on paper. And the other one is, of course, that some people just prefer their images on paper and framed because it looks a lot better with their interior design or just suit better with their taste in art. And that actually does bring me to another point when it comes to printing, and it's whether you should print your images yourself using your own printer, your own paper, or if you should have it done at a print shop. Now, my personal preference is that if you don't print it that often, which I don't, then I don't have the money and the need to buy expensive printers and paper and make sure everything works fine, when I can buy it from a specialist print shop that has all the equipment I might need and that loves doing it, and they have the professionalism as well. And I don't think that the price is higher. Considering the amounts I print, probably I'm winning by thousands of euros. So definitely, if you're interested in printing maybe a couple of times a month, maybe if you print every week, you could have your own printer. However, if you want to have high quality and you print a few times a year, then definitely go to a specialist print shop. Of course, it's great to maybe look around a little bit, test out different print shops, because some places have better quality, others have worse quality, and the prices differ as well. I think I have found myself a, let's say, perfect print shop. It's quite close to me. The prices are great, the quality is great. Of course, you have to make your decision for yourself. I personally will continue to use a specialist print shop unless I get hundreds of print requests a month. Another thing to keep in mind if you do choose to print at a special print shop is to make sure that the colors of your computer are calibrated roughly the same as the print shop, because if, let's say, the colors of your computer seem a lot more or are a lot more muted, then when they do print it out, you might not like the result because the colors of the printed image will look too saturated compared to what you might have seen. So it's definitely good to calibrate your computer screen. I have to admit, I haven't done so myself. However, I have had my images printed at the shop and I haven't really noticed any huge differences. It's possible that my colors are a bit more muted than at the print shop, but I really haven't personally seen a huge difference, so I don't see a problem. When it comes to print sizes, I don't know if it's me being a man and trying to overcompensate, but I always seem to think that bigger is better. And whenever I get the chance, I try to print something bigger than the last time. And of course, the greatest print size of all is something that you can see 200 or 300 meters away driving your car in the city. But unfortunately, I don't have money for that, so I have to hope for somebody else who has that kind of money to print that for me. But when it comes to printing myself, currently the biggest image I've printed has been 40 centimeters by 60 centimeters, but I do hope to print bigger, at least 50 by 75, or maybe even 120 centimeters by 80 centimeters, and so on and so on. The usual size that I have printed for now has been 30 by 45 centimeters for canvas prints, or roughly 20 to 30 centimeters for framed images where the frame itself is 30 by 40 centimeters. That's basically the standard that I've used. Of course, there are opportunities for smaller images, but I personally prefer bigger. And one final thing before I show you some of my images as well, and that is if you should sign your images, and if so, where. I personally have started to sign my images a bit more, although I am a little bit worried because my handwriting is absolutely horrible. At first I thought I would sign them either at the front of the image or just on the edge, on the little white frame, or on canvas print just on the edge. But I saw that they did nothing else but basically ruin the image. That is why I have decided that if I do sign my images, I will probably do it on the other side of the image, so either on canvas or paper. In that case, if people do want to have my signature on their image, they can, but at the same time, it's not all up in their face. And in that case, they won't end up ruining the image. I can actually show you as well. At first, I tried to do something like this. Can't really... I don't know if you really see it, but I think even from afar you can see that it is quite horrible. So after the fact, I have tried to sign my images on the back, although I should probably take a few calligraphy classes or something, and also think of a nicer signature than just writing my name. Although I think it is quite unique because of just how badly it is written. So definitely there won't be any copycats for that. So I think that should just about cover all the most important aspects of printing. To conclude, yes, you should print your images. However, you should probably not print too many images unless you have a wide range of people you can give them to, sell them to. If you can maybe host some gallery shows or something, because space at home at least is very much limited. You can take some to your workplace as well. You know, maybe market your work a little bit and also make your workplace a lot nicer. When printing, you should also keep in mind the interior design of the place you're going to put your images in. So in some places, paper prints framed with a white passepartout or white frame might work better than canvas prints. In other places, it might be vice versa. In some places, you could use either one and perhaps just choose to use canvas prints because it's a lot easier and you can basically hang it as soon as you get it back from the print shop. So there are many options and many reasonings to do one or the other or both. So just keep those things in mind. If you have a lovely signature, you should also sign your images. If you don't, maybe put them in the back. I think that just as with books, when they're autographed or have a little personal message inside, so are images a lot nicer and cooler to have if they have the autograph or the name written by the author themselves. And now to show you a little bit about the images that I have printed. So just as before, I have also received these images, and also actually I have received many more. I had like 9 images printed on canvas today, and I also received quite a few of paper printed images. And although I do love the images that I have printed myself, it's especially cool if others do that as well. One example is an image I have taken of the Estonian National Museum in Tartu that was printed on a nice little exhibition stand. And of course, the creme de la creme, I think every photographer's dream is to have your image on a huge billboard in the city. And I got that opportunity when the National Tourism Board in Estonia, Visit Estonia, purchased an image of mine and had it printed on, I can't even say how huge this image was. You can see it here. I mean, and I didn't know anything about it. I just drove past it and I noticed it, and it was like, wow, my image is on a huge billboard in the city. And it was just an amazing feeling. I was going somewhere, but later on I returned to the same place and I took this image, and I mean, it was the best feeling in the world, probably. It just a huge accomplishment as a photographer, and I hope to have many more of my images displayed on huge billboards and on stands and at homes, on walls. So I look forward to printing many more images. I look forward to seeing a lot more images on walls and everywhere. And I hope that you will use this opportunity as well. And of course, I wouldn't be a photographer talking about prints if I didn't shamelessly try to plug my own work. If you want to get a nice little image from my portfolio onto your wall, then make sure you go to my website. You pick out the image that pleases you the most. You can write me an email. However, if you want to support the channel on other ways, then you can just like the video, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you again in the next video. peace out. That's all, folks. Hasta la vista. Wow, you actually stayed until the end of the video? Wow, well, I guess as a treat you can see me act like a little kid when I open this little gift to myself. I think I could call this a little Christmas present to myself, because I'm not planning on getting anything else. So this should work just fine. Ooh, actually it doesn't smell like anything, but damn, this looks so crispy. I hope you can see it. It looks, I don't know how it looks on camera, but in real life, this looks amazing. Wow.